Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, everywhere this is going to be going live or have a clip thereof. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. What is going on out there? And today is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there, my brothers and sisters in arms. And, you know, we also want to thank those that gave the ultimate sacrifice and did not make it home from their deployment or whatever portion of service they ended up passing away in. So we'll give a small moment of silence for that. And all right, welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions. We are talking about Veterans Day right off the bat because it is Veterans Day today, Tuesday, the 11th. I know a lot of people got kind of confused and were sending out thank yous and everything else. That yesterday was Veterans Day for whatever reason, and so I got a lot of thank yous for being a veteran yesterday. And but welcome to the booth, everybody. So we're not just going to be talking about Veterans Day all day long, so don't worry about that. We're going to be talking about the fun stuff that we always talk about, the paranormal. I've already been seeing some up around in here. Uh, Orbs, actually, right on this camera. I haven't seen them in person, but I'm catching them on my camera up here. And so, you know, I've had my camera set up the past 3 days, and I get tons of activity. I'm not getting any of the poltergeist activity that we sometimes have. So, is this thing on? Okay. So that's what I'm waiting to happen. Hopefully, I caught something in the utility room last night. Actually, it's still recording right now. I put in the other SD card. I got to put this SD card into the computer and see what I captured. Um, and I put one of the cat balls in there. And if you don't know what a cat ball is, well, I don't have one in here. It is a little ball about yay big, and it lights up. It flashes all these different color lights inside of it whenever it gets touched or batted around. And they were designed for animal play, but you know, later on, people developed them into hey, ghosts can touch these things and set them off. So we'll see if anything happened with that last night. Um, and if it did, it'd be on this one. Now the other one, like I said, is recording right now because it technically, when I started recording it, it was at the witching hour, which is that 2:30 to 3:30 time frame, or 2 to 4, whichever you want to consider it. And if you don't know what the witching hour is, you can look it up. Um, so yeah, we've had that set up for the past 3 nights. Now, 2 of those nights, I did the whole rookie mistake of, oh look, I didn't turn the sound on, so I didn't get the knocks and stuff like I did the first night that I set it up. Because the very first night that I set it up, um, I had the sound going, all that stuff. I could get these clear knocks. Now I could chalk it away to being, the pigs moving, their hooves hitting the floor or something like that, you know. But they don't move that much when they're completely asleep. So we don't know if it was them or not. So that one can, be either debunked or solidified. That hey, we captured something as far as a knock goes. But as far as movement goes, or shadow figures, or anything like that, we didn't catch any of that stuff. We are going to try some different locations as well, such as hit some graveyards, things like that. We're going to hit a couple of different spots, and see what they charge to do a ghost hunt, like the Clayton House here in Fort Smith and the King Opera House in Van Buren. And don't forget to like, share, and follow when you do get here, and that helps us out. And again, happy Veterans Day to all of my brothers and sisters at arms. Um, I am a disabled veteran, and you know, so just like so many of my brothers and sisters, we fall under that disabled veterans list. And it's like you don't see anything wrong with us per se, but we know there's a lot wrong with us. And so it's just one of those things. So, how are you guys doing out there? Well, thank you, and you're welcome. We, you know, I would have done things differently had I done it again. I would have joined when I got out of high school, Rose. Um, but I didn't. I was 33 years old when I joined the military. I was already the old guy, considering most people that were in and going in were in their teens and 20s. You know, some were doing the split ops thing, where they were still finishing up high school and then doing their FTX whenever they graduated. Those type things. But me, I was already seasoned, if you will, at 33 years old, almost hitting that 34-year-old cutoff at the time, and going to Fort Benning, Georgia, for basic training in the middle of summer, 110-degree heat. And good morning, Casey. Welcome to the broadcast booth. And yes, we will talk after the show. Sorry about that. And I definitely want to know that dream. Yes, I did. I was in Afghanistan for a year. I was on a 17-month deployment on that one from 2006 to 2007. Had 3 months train up in Mississippi, 12 months boots on ground in Afghanistan, in Kabul to be exact, at Camp Phoenix. And then we went to a school directly when I got back for 2 months. So you can do the math on that. 12 plus 3 plus 2. There's your 17 months right there. Or 15 months, whatever it is, 12. No, it is 17 months. 17-month deployment. And, like I said, had I done it again, I would have done it straight out of high school and I would have graduated from the military at the time. And I'm thinking of my ancestors that served, namely Captain Benjamin Casey. He died on Kings Mountain in the Revolution. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Agent Orange is no joke. A lot of people that were of that time period, like my grandfather, who was in World War II, Korea, all that good stuff. And he's technically why I went ahead and joined the military. Um, and thank your ancestors for and thank your husband for his service. Um, because my grandpa, he didn't talk about the war. I had to get bits and pieces from friends of his whenever we would talk. Um, and so, that's just one section of life he never talked about was the war, and it's understandable because he did see a lot of action. He actually saved a couple of people from getting hit with a mortar or grenade or something like that. Yeah, a lot of people that got hit with the Agent Orange stuff had a lot of skin issues and a lot of internal issues, and it's no joke. And it's just the chemical warfare that we have to deal with. Even today, we have chemical warfare, but Agent Orange seemed to be the one that fucked people up the most. And and kudos to those brave men and women back then, um, that served because they wanted to serve the military, and I wanted to serve to keep my grandfather's you know uh, memory alive in the 45th Infantry. which is directly above my head right here. Oop, right there. That Thunderbird logo. The second logo that was used because uh, somebody took our logo and the original logo and flipped it in reverse and turned it into horrible things. I'm not going to name any names, Hitler. But as we move along and move forward, so don't forget to like, share, and follow. And I've got it here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where I put it. Where I put my head. But I showed it to you guys before. It's my grandfather's flag, in case you'll probably remember it. That they used to put the picture of the service member on, and it's a cool little flag. And I need to get it hung. I need to get it cleaned, is what I need to do. But I don't want to clean it, if that makes sense. Um, because it is super old, and I don't want it to fall apart. So, um, but yeah. So yeah, and so I was in Louisiana after I got back from Afghanistan, Rose, and then yeah, and then I became a trainer for the military the last years of my service there. I did 6 years active, 2 years inactive, so 8 years total. And like I said, hindsight 2020, had I done it again, or had I done it in the beginning, I would have done it out of high school, and I would have retired, from the service because it was fun, but I wouldn't do it again. Now, if I was cold and they were like, hey, we definitely got to have all you old guys back, I would be, sure, let's go. Let's do it. So, but yeah. And I love a lot of the factors out there that have the POW MIA missing man table and stuff like that at their restaurants and things like that. Has the chair folded up against the table so nobody can sit there because we're holding that seat, for those that are lost or POWs still. And I'm going to give a shout out to Frankie. He was a maintenance guy at Walmart when I worked there. And tough old codger. He was a POW. When they found him, I think he said he was like 86 pounds when they found him at the concentration camp um, when he was there in WW2. And, he is one guy that if anybody deserved the veterans benefits, it was him. But to his a testament and his pride, I guess, he never got into the whole disabled veteran stuff. He didn't take advantage of the whole system. Yeah, I forget. I'm sorry. I just wish they would take that off completely. But thank you. Now you can read that correctly. Right there. Boom, boom, boom. And this was actually in Little Rock, Arkansas, where this was. Um, and if anybody deserved to have, benefits and things like that, it would have been him. But he didn't take advantage of that. He was like, I've paid for everything in my entire life, and I'm not, you know, looking to do that. I'm like, Frankie, dude, come on. You were a POW. You sacrificed more than most people, other than the ones that actually, gave their life in service. Because he was at that point. Had they not found him for another couple months, he might not have been with us. You but he's a shout out right there. And then I'm going to give a shout out to my son who did not make it to basic training, but he did sign and was drilling with his unit out of Oklahoma City for the combat medics. Unfortunately, his life was cut short at the age of 17, um, and he never got to make it to basic training to do anything in the military, but other than the drills that he did go to. And so, he actually got military honors, at his funeral, and that was pretty cool. So I giving a shout out to those two guys right there, and I already gave a shout out to my brothers and sisters at arms, all the ones that are still here with us. Um, and we've got to look at the 22 a day, which I can't say exactly what that means. If you know, you know. Um, but I'm going to tell you anyway. 22 a day is that 22 veterans a day put themselves below dirt on a daily basis, and that's 22 too many on a daily basis. And I've been in that situation where I wanted to put myself below dirt, you know. And but that was after my son passed away. And it was an ATV accident that took his life. And it's just one of those things that it's hard to recover from. The pain never goes away. If the people that tell you, "Oh no, the pain goes away after time," they're full of shit. Just being straight up honest, because you're supposed to be put in the dirt by your children, not vice versa. And to have that happen to anybody out there is a tragedy in and of itself, and it's a pain that never goes away. You learn to cope with it differently, but the pain is still there. I can recall what happened on the day, to the hour, that it happened, where I was, how many phone calls were made in the day, that long 7+ hour trip getting to Tishomingo, you know, and it's unfortunate that he didn't get to go do things in the military that he wanted to, like he was going to, but it is a part of life like that it's just not fair. But you move on. So that is that. What good movies have you seen? I watched the Netflix Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro, um, Frankenstein. Pan's Labyrinth was better. Um, and so I wonder why you're not doing it over there like you're supposed to be. Anyway, whatever. It'll get on there. And I watched Frankenstein last night. Um, what's happening Wednesday? Oh, looky there. Mr. Roy Joe finally showed up from his siesta, probably in the bathroom somewhere. Bum, bum, bum. Lots of military people out there today. I'm looking at Facebook right now as the same time. This year I didn't post my picture of my 5 minutes of fame either, which was, you know, um, a picture of me, holding my rifle in full gear. And, basically, I usually put that one. And thanks. Yes, I did get a haircut and I got a little bit of a trim up right here, you know. And good morning, Roy. Um, and so I'm seeing a lot of the posts out there for all the military people, and some people I didn't even realize. But like I was talking about, my 5 minutes of fame came in Afghanistan with my picture that I usually post with me with my rifle up, and thank you for that, Mr. Roy. And, in full battle rattle. And someone snapped a picture in the crowd when we were trying to keep the local nationals back from the accident that had happened. And you're welcome, Mr. Roy. And and it's like, I never saw the picture get taken, you know, and the only reason we knew about it, that it existed, was, well, thank you, Mr. Roy, for the heart to me, to my life. Um, was because our first sergeant called our sergeant and was like, "Hey, why doesn't Anderson have his, you know, safety gear, eye gear on?" And he was quick thinking. He was like, "Well, it's fogging up on him, so he had to move it up." And he was like, "Well, make sure he's got it on, whenever you continue mission and all that stuff." Charlie Mike. And he was like, he gets to thinking in his head. He's like, he can't see us from camp. He can't see us from the FLIR. He can't see us with binoculars. He goes, so how do you know that? He goes, how did you know that Anderson doesn't have his, goggles on? He's like, well, I'm looking at him on Yahoo News right now. And it was like, oh, okay. So I went and looked it up and saved that picture from Yahoo News, talking about the convoy that had gotten hit by a VBED. If you don't know what that means, that is a vehicle-borne explosive. And it was one of those Blackwater things where you've got the private security, that take people from point A to point B from their own palaces and things like that. And that's what was happening there. And so I got my 5 minutes of fame on Yahoo News with my face plastered all over the place. That was pretty fun. And so I usually use that one for my Facebook posts for Veterans Day and things like that. But this time I didn't. I used myself with the kiddos and then my son when he was swearing in to the military. But again, never got to go to basic training like everybody else. Again, tragedy struck and his life was taken at the age of 17. So, there you go. So, how's everybody doing out there? I am muddling through these comic pages of this 8-page comic book that I'm working on, and it's coming along. It's coming along good. It's coming along goodly. And David or Casey, I saw your post and the post that you sent me about the bird listening to you playing your flute. That was pretty cool, and it responding back to you. So that was pretty awesome. So thank you all for being here, checking out the channel. Be sure to like, share, and follow, and go up here, and you can go to my profile and you can follow my other profiles on social media, which is my, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're here on TikTok. Um, so, but yeah, as I'm going through Facebook, because I've got Facebook pulled up on the other computer, which I can now do that now because I've got it here and I've got you guys here. So I'm just going through looking to see who all is out there that is military service and all that good stuff. And I'm seeing that they've got a what's called Vet TV, veteran television, raw, offensive, and mentally orgasmic military humor made by veterans for veterans. Welcome to Vet TV. I might have to check that out. That should be pretty interesting. So, original military streaming service. Very cool. Danny O'Neill. But it's pretty accurate from what I'm seeing. So, all right, guys. So, what have you guys been up to? I know Roy's been just making plenty of food for the entire neighborhood whenever he cooks something at his house, um, and then he drowns it in ranch dressing. Now, like I said, I watched the new Frankenstein, and I was a little disappointed in it. I mean, it was good, but they took out a lot of like Joseph Michael Linsner said on his post about it. he talked about how they took out certain iconic lines from the show or from the movie, and from the book itself, and it was like, well, why would you do that? Why would you really do that? I mean, it's like if you're gonna follow the book, and it's like, why would you take out certain iconic spots from the book? And yes, I know it's creative license and all that good stuff, and you're bringing your vision of the monster to life in the movie, but you took out a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, I know it's kind of gross on your freaking pizza rolls there, bud. But anyway, to each their own. I'm surprised you didn't like dip it in chocolate chip ice cream or something with the Miracle Whip and chocolate chip ice cream as you dipped it. You know, you gotta dip it. So it was an okay movie. Um, and like a lot of people, there's a lot of flaws to it because basically he engineered a superhuman creature. Because in all the other movies of Frankenstein, he didn't gain superhuman strength. He didn't, you know, wasn't able to leap tall buildings in a single bound and things of that nature. I mean, he pushes an entire ship out of an iceberg, you know, and you're talking, a 10-ton ship, you know, and he's on a piece of ice and he's pushing this ship and breaking it through the ice to get them on their way. So there was a lot of unbelievability with it. Do I believe people can be brought back to life the way Dr. Frankenstein, in Mary Shelley's book is capable of doing? It's possible because we're sewing people back together all the time, with different people's limbs or things like that. And so, you know, and so do I believe that? It's possible. I can see that happening. Is it feasible that that could happen? Probably not. But it's just like my house. Is it haunted? I believe it is. Do other people? No. Yes, Face Off the movie, and they're starting to work on that right now. How creepy is that though? That you know, you are looking at your dead relative's face on somebody else, and not even close. Sorry, we're only at 352. So, um, you know, I wish we were at the 11 mark right now, but no, we're not. And that would be great, but we're not. So, but it is what it is, bro. We'll get there. We'll figure out what the freak is going on with the whole algorithm and why my likes aren't getting liked and all that good stuff. And now my viewership has dropped to zero, even though I know people are still here. So, you know, it is what it is, man. And like I said, we'll figure it all out one of these days in about 6,000 years, whenever things work properly. And but no, lots of moving parts, happening here. And like I said, Frankenstein was an okay movie. The Netflix. I can't give it, two thumbs up. I can give it one thumbs up, because it was good as far as the cinematography of it all. and the sets were great. The location was awesome. You know, and it's just one of those things that it could have been better. It could have taken true elements from the book and put it in there, you know. But it is what it is. And the likes are starting to come through now. I appreciate the likes. Um, Mia, thank you for the likes. And it there's so many movies that could be so much better if they did this or if they did that. You know, what's a movie that you guys think would be better if they had changed an element, in the movie? People want to know because, like me, I think they could in this new Frankenstein they could have left the whole showing up at Frankenstein Victor's wedding and taking his bride. Like in all the other movies and the book. The very iconic section where he said, "I will be at your wedding," and he shows up at the wedding and takes the bride so that he can create a bride for himself. You know, this one there is no chance for that happening, or a Bride of Frankenstein or anything like that. Now, unless somebody else becomes Victor, because in this one, spoiler, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but there's no way they can do a Bride of Frankenstein off of this particular movie. There's just absolutely no way. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Um, and so, you know, and as you can see, I did change the picture over my shoulder right here. It's no longer Chester Bennington. He's on the floor, technically, not technically on the floor, but he's as close to the floor as he can get without being on the floor. He's leaned up against the refrigerator on top of a paper sealer lamination machine. So there you go. So what movie do you guys think would be better had they changed an element in the movie? There's certain parts of A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first original back in the 80s, that I think would have made it better had they changed a little scenes here and there. Didn't have as much, comedy in there with it, but that made it what it is today. The iconic movie, the cult classic that it is today. And um, it had just a tiny bit of humor with the horror in there. All the blood, guts, and I mean Johnny Depp's blood just covering the ceiling. That was the a hard to believe part in the whole movie. All that blood, you know, just sitting on the ceiling, at about a foot deep or so. But there's just small portions that I would have changed, in the whole movie. But that's just me. So, what movie would be better had they changed the scene in it, or changed a few scenes in your opinion? Don't forget to like, share, and follow when you're here. We are talking about Veterans Day. We are talking about um, horror movies right now. We're talking about, I guess it's a love movie, love romance movie. I guess more than a love movie, a romance movie. You've got the Beast. 436. That's where we're sitting. 436 likes. We're still in the popular live range, but we don't have that 3.8K or 38K. So I don't know what's going on with it. We're not getting our like reach as we normally do. So, um, so like I said, I watched the new Frankenstein last night. It was a slow burn. It was a very long movie to begin with. I mean, it had great elements to keep you interested and things like that, but there were certain parts in it that were just like, we're dragging this out. And we're not following the book. But I get it. You want your creative vision to come out in that movie. Um, so I totally understand that. And like I said, that's what just makes it an okay movie for me. It doesn't give me two thumbs up; it gives me a one thumb up, you know. And that's about all I can give it. Okay, Richard, great. Go jump into his inbox if you want to be blessed. Which a blessing comes with no strings attached. Just FYI. And I've seen these strings attached many a times. But have fun with that. So, how are y'all doing out there? Eating good with me. That's a good name. What are you cooking? That's what we want to know. What are you cooking? Now we're going to switch titles to what are you cooking? So, thank you all for your service. If you served out there that are watching right now, just like me, I was in the Army. I Some of my hats are behind me with my 45th Infantry logo right there above my head. Boom, right there. Because that's who I was with before they changed us to a cavalry unit, and started drilling in Ada, Oklahoma, out of Shawnee, Oklahoma, and that was about the time I was transitioning out of the military. So I did not get my spur and my Stetson. You know, I'm sorry, brother. You get to feeling better, and I get it. We'll talk later about that dream you had, and we'll go from there. I didn't even see that they even played last night. And you're welcome, Casey. And thank you for the comment. I was kind of surprised that you're because I looked for him and I didn't see him on the list. I saw that the Beagles beat the Yackers last night uh, after a half of 0-0 of punts and fumbles and interceptions and all kinds of stuff. Actually, it was just fumbles left and right for everybody. But Casey, yeah, we'll talk later on, like I said. And but yeah, the Yackers got beat by the Beagles, which keeps pulling them ahead in the NFC East, which sucks, 100% because they're 5 games ahead of everybody else, or 4 games ahead of everybody else right now in the NFC East. So we're gonna have to completely win out to even catch up to them, especially if they just keep winning in that division. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't see your Lackers out there anywhere when I looked. So I'm kind of surprised that they actually won and got off the couch. I thought they were just taking a whole big siesta until they got their asses kicked by Oklahoma City on Wednesday. So there you go. And you know good and damn well that's what's going to happen. So because they scared, they're going to go out there and cry like little bitches, little babies. We got to play. The game hasn't even started yet. Your team ain't even gonna find their way off the bench, dude. They're gonna be walking out there in their sweatpants and be like, "What the hell? I still got pants on? Oh God, I forgot." Your geriatric team out there with their walkers. Hopefully, I don't break a bone or flop really hard. Oh, your flopper LeBron jammies. Your LeBron jammies out there. I saw that post that what was it? Harold posted out there. Normal NBA fans, LeBron fans. That was quite humorous. Audrey showed it to me, so I had to laugh really good at that one. And your little comment on there. Oh, yeah, I just don't get you LeBron jammy fans, especially since he's a big contributor to the Diddy parties out there. Oh, I'm so scared. Oh, we're gonna mop the floor with you. It's all good. Lackers will go out of there with their tails stuck between each other's butts like they normally do. Because that's the kind of team they are. They like to stroke each other's egos, if you will. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. We've been talking horror movies, a little bit of sports, and Veterans Day out there to all my fellow veterans and those that have paved the way before us and the ones that are paving the way after us, that are coming after us. And, we look forward to long military service. Like I said, had I done it out of high school, you know, you're the one that needs to keep dreaming, buddy. You need to get that high colonic and get to stepping. Get that enema, and you'll be a lot better. You'll feel a lot better, especially after Wednesday when you're gonna need that enema. Maybe LeBron Jammies can give that to you. The way he likes to with that big ass orange purse that he's got. Makes no sense what the fuck that is. But yeah, Roy. The only thing your boys know how to stroke is each other. So there you go. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Not at home. Sorry, bud. We know the court a lot better. 135 to 110. Final score: Oklahoma City over the Lackers. We're going to shellac your Lackers and let them go back with their tails in each other's butts. There you go, buddy. On Wednesday. It'd be nice if it was an early game instead of one of those 9 o'clock games. So, like I said, I took some recordings last night, right here, and 64 gigs worth of recording, which turns into about 11 different clips because it breaks them down into 30-minute clips, basically, 29 minutes and like some odd seconds per clip, except for like the very last one, it turns into like a 10-minute clip, so 11 minutes clip. Yes, go Oklahoma City Thunder. Thank you, Roy. I'm glad you are rooting for the right team finally. And so I'm going to see if I captured anything. We've set it up in the library this time. The first few nights have been in the front room and the dining room area. And we caught a lot of orbs, just like this morning when I was setting up this live over here. I was seeing orbs, fall down, in front of my face on this camera over here. Not this camera down here, but on this one up here. Go Oklahoma City. Beat the Wonder Lackers. Yes, yes, Roy. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're still pulling for Oklahoma City Thunder. Thank you. And just like your Oklahoma Sooners, they're doing awesome. They keep moving up in the polls. I love it, and you do too. I know. And I think the SEC. What are they? The Golden Girl Hags from Little Rock area, Fayetteville area, Bentonville area, somewhere in there. They're supposedly going to be picking up the New York Giants ex head coach, the definite big loser there, and pulling him in to help lose the franchise there as well in the SEC. So that's the rumors that I'm hearing, and I hope they do pick him up and continue their losing ways. You know, and I think that'll be great for them. But that's okay, Roy. Everybody knows you're an Oklahoma Sooner fan. and you don't care anything about what's happening up in the Bentonville area with the Golden Girl Hags up there, and you know, it's all good. I know he's having a conniption fit right now, going for that mayonnaise jar, that Miracle Whip, and being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm eating it straight with a spoon out of the Miracle Whip jar," you know, and going from there. Ah, Roy, what are you having for breakfast this morning? What's your breakfast of champions today? Are you cooking up some burgers with some pizza rolls and putting it in there like, you know, Doritos on your burger, so you can give it that extra crunch? I am excited. We are doing a voice acting gig as well for a new fan film for Power Rangers, and so I've got the voice of a baddie character yet again in the show. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm working on page 2 of Condry Band's Best Friend. I've got the first page loose penciled in. I mean, it's semi tight loose pencils, if you know what I mean with that. Um, Burritos and Fiesta blend cheese, bro, and he's probably got some Miracle Whip on top of that. To hold that cheese in place. Gourmet eating right there. So, um, it is Veterans Day. Think a veteran out there. Buy some artwork from a veteran. Me. I've got plenty of artwork for sale, and I'm probably going to get a restriction for that because I can't send people outside of TikTok to buy things. Even though TikTok encourages a ton of things like that when it comes to people using specific apps inside of Walmart and things of that nature, and those type of things. So, but again, thank you all for the uh, Happy Veterans Day and all that good stuff. As I am a veteran, and I got out in 2012 was my official end date. 2010 is when I got out originally, but official end date was 2012 of November. Uh, and that was my 8 years of service for the military. And again, had I done it again, I would have done it straight out of high school. And I do thank my brothers and sisters at arms and the ones that paved the way before me, just like my grandfather in World War II and in Korea. Um, and I wish I could find his flag really fast because I'd show you guys that flag that he has. It's running around here somewhere. I need to just hang it up. That's what I need to do. And if any of you saw any of my posts yesterday on Facebook, you would have seen me posing for a picture that I needed. Uh, but because I couldn't find one that exactly what I needed, so I used myself as the model out there, and that was fun. And so I'm also looking for my watch bands. Excuse me, because I broke my watch band, and I've got some more running around somewhere, but now I just got to find them. Yes, Roy, you're welcome. And he wants to thank all of the service men and women out there for their service as well. So, and like I said, as I'm scrolling Facebook over here as well, I'm seeing that there are a lot of people that I didn't realize were in the military. And that's probably because they don't act like they were in the military. But, it is what it is. And if you know what I mean by that, you know what I mean by that. I'm not going to get into all of that, with it because there's no reason for it. Some people probably should never have been in the military. Is what I'm trying to say. So, but kudos to them for being in the military. Just because it is one of those things that they went out there and joined the military and did the whole service. Whereas some people tried, so kudos to you that tried if you did try. And then there's those that would never join the military because just because. Somebody just posted out there. Sorry, I'm going to read this one to you. Some of us have lived through vinyl, through 8 track, through cassette, through CD, through Napster, and Spotify. And some of us are hiding from Columbia House because they always did that 1 cent promotion through Columbia House where you could get the cassettes, get like 10 cassettes for a penny. And then the bill would come due and it's not a penny, because of shipping and handling and everything else because you had to buy X amount more, to fulfill the promise, kind of like Timu. And and so, you know, so yes, some of us are still hiding from Columbia House because we still owe them that penny out there. And and if you remember Columbia House, it was fun. It was actually pretty cool. I actually did get a lot of stuff from them. So, what are you all doing out there? Did you see my endorsement right there? Right there. Boom, boom, boom. You too can get this at any store. Well, almost any store. You can definitely find it at Walmart and Harps and a variety of it at DG, but not this one. You find the nasty ones over there. Because this one is the only one that doesn't taste like shit. The rest of them taste like chemicals, to be honest. And this one tastes great. So, let's see. What are you guys doing today for Veterans Day? I know there's a lot of restaurants that are doing the whole free meal for their veteran, blah, blah, blah. I probably will not partake in any of that. I'll leave it to the younger generation to get those free meals. Um, but yeah, what are you guys doing today? What's your agenda for today? What are you guys looking forward to for today? That's the question, you know. And we look forward to knowing what you do. Just because today I'll be working on artwork. I'll be working on animal chores. I will be doing some dishes. I'll be cleaning my office some more because I've got a whole lot of shit down here on the floor that I got to get off and moved into where it goes so I can move out all the stuff that's in that closet so I can start moving all of those comic boxes back behind me into that closet uh, while I try to sell some of them. I'll be selling off some comic books on Macari or eBay or even Marketplace, depending. Um, and go from there. Because there's a lot of comic books sitting behind me that I don't touch, that will never be read by me, period. Um, I mean, there's a lot of classic history in there because it's all the Bronze Age from the 70s to, the early 90s and then beyond. But I picked up that big collection, like I said, about 2 years ago. And it is, a ton of Bronze Age comics. 1974, probably a little bit earlier than that. Some Silver Age in there, but um, for the most part, it's 1970s to probably 1990s in that range. If I had to guess, the early 90s, 90, 91. And, you know, there's a lot of great key comic books in there, but I'm going to be getting rid of a lot. And so, you know, it is what it is because there's a lot that I don't read in there. I've got long runs of Thor. I've got long runs of Avengers. I've got long runs of um, Spider Man. Didn't seem to be a big thing for him. It was every other title out there. Uh, there's a few Spider Man in there, but nothing long run like the other ones. Like I was talking about the Defenders, Champions, a little bit of DC because he had a lot of Action Comics. Um, Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, things like that. So, but tons of different books out there that that I won't ever read because I'm not a big DC fan. Uh, Superman was never my gig, just like Captain America was never my gig, and he's got a whole run of Captain America stuff in there in that collection that I picked up. So I'm looking forward to offloading a bunch of these that I will never get into. Now I'll probably keep a title here or there from certain ones in there, like the first Firestar. I'll probably keep that, which is in Thor. Uh, it's like a nearly a $400 comic book, but that one I'll probably keep for my personal collection just because it is a first appearance of a character that I actually liked, Firestar, and or Firestorm. One of the two. I can't remember which one it is right now off the top of my head. Whichever one's in the Marvel universe, and because you had one, they look very similar to each other. There's a lot of characters in DC and Marvel that look very similar to each other and almost have the same powers. You know, Darkseid and Thanos. So on and so forth. So, those type of things. And I'm looking forward to just offloading a bunch of these because again, they're just sitting here collecting dust, and it's time for them to move on to their new forever home. And it's not me. Just like my artwork, pick up my artwork and put it into your forever home, and uh, it is on that. All right, we just claimed all of our rewards out there, and all 5 million of them that were waiting out there. So, what are you guys looking forward to doing today? A lot of people are going to be celebrating Veterans Day in their own way, because like banks and certain things are going to be closed today because it is a federal holiday, and so they get the day off, unlike your normal, regular working class person. And I'll be working on comic stuff. I'll be working on cleaning the office. I'll be working on letting the animals out to go to the bathroom, and I'll be letting the chickens and all them out of their new coop spot, their temporary spot that they're finally getting used to, since they are housed up in there until 7 o'clock in the morning, from about 5 o'clock, five to 5:30 at night until 7 in the morning because of the time change now and how it falls. Um, let's just get rid of daylight savings time. Just get rid of it altogether. Nobody follows it anyway. It was done for the farmers. Farmers don't use it anymore. They know how to take care of their crops and their animals and things like that. So let's just abolish daylight savings time and get rid of it altogether. Because this going to getting dark at 5 o'clock crap is just for the birds in reality, literally, because that's what it was for. It was you had your farmers getting up with the sun before the sun and then getting their chores going and then going to bed, basically when the sun went down so that they could get ready for the next day. Yes, I'm a homesteader, but I don't follow those rules. I think last night went to bed about 9 o'clock, well after dark, you know, and so it's like let's just abolish daylight savings time all the way around. Like certain states already have abolished it completely. You go into their state and it it's the same time frame all year round, which I don't know how that works for them in reality because they've caught up to us or they're behind us or whatever, but they stay the same time. Their clocks never change. You know, whereas ours bounce forward, bounce back, bounce forward, bounce back, and so they're constant, and we're the ones bouncing around all over the place. Let's get this taken care of. Let's get rid of this whole daylight savings time shit and move forward with life. It should have been abolished a long time ago, just like taxes. We shouldn't be paying taxes anymore. But yet you try not to pay taxes. See what happens. I mean, they don't have the debtor's prison anymore, but because it would be overrun with people in debt, especially college students with student loans. All that stuff. so, but all right, guys. I appreciate everybody stopping in, checking out the channel. We did talk about Veterans Day. We talked about Frankenstein, the new movie on Netflix right now, and we talked about some sports. We talked about a little bit of everything today, which was a good day for it all. But I appreciate each and everybody being here, and as I like to say, as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.